Winning at social media. Brands know that maximizing effectiveness on Twitter and Facebook is critical, and a startup called SocialFlow says it has a formula that will make your content get noticed. We're joined by Frank Spicer, co-founder at SocialFlow, for more on what it takes to be a social media leader. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks for having me.
So you have an algorithm that helps companies like the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, Birchbox get their content noticed on social media sites. How does that work?
Well, you're basically competing for attention, and you want to make sure you enter the conversation at a time when it's going to give you the most yield. So we help big media companies and brands get their messaging in front of the audience when it's most likely to care about what they have to say.
And what are some of the biggest mistakes that these companies make if they don't use SocialFlow?
There's a few. One of them is just sending all of your tweets whenever you feel like it, because just because it's very important to you doesn't mean it's projected to do well with the audience. And so you want to give them what they want when they want. And a lot of times people will go with their biases and tweet when they think they have something important instead of letting the audience tell it when is the best time.
So I shouldn't tweet 10 times in a row, is that what you're telling me?
That's definitely, no, don't tweet 10 times in a row.
Okay, and so you recently added integration with Pinterest.
Correct.
What are you going to do with Pinterest? I understand that you're also going to recommend tweets that could be good for promoted pins, so for advertising as well?
Yes, so part of it is about cross-promotion from other platforms into Pinterest when things start doing well. The other thing is taking catalogs in and doing multivariate pins to make sure you pin the ones that are likely to do the best for you.
Interesting. And these days, so much of news spreads online, on Twitter. How can you make sure that yours is the one that gets the most retweets?
So retweets are a sign that people find what you have to say relevant to them and they think it's useful to their audience. You're likely to figure out based on what people are recently talking about and sharing, and then modeling out when that group of people is going to find the thing that you're going to tweet important.
So should you add a photo to the image, or is there a certain time of day that's most effective?
Photos help quite a bit because it's a short experience and it's something that people can instantly relate to. The other thing is making sure you're not late to the conversation. If it's early enough to be useful to your audience, you're likely to get a lot of shares.
And so you have Instagram, LinkedIn. What are all the sites that you have capability on with SocialFlow?
So we work with Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn, and still Google+.
And what's the kind of post that would work well for Facebook, but maybe not some of these other sites?
So Facebook is more of a closed network where people bring in things that they find very personally relevant. If you're going to broadcast product news or things like that, as a person, Facebook's not the right place to do that. But the brand relationship on Facebook is more of an open conversation. And so things that tend to do well on Twitter for product announcements will also tend to do well on Facebook if you get them there at the right time.
Yeah, something has happened to some of the brand pages on Twitter where they're not getting as much attention as they used to because of Facebook's own algorithm that changed things. How can brands still stand out?
You have to work really hard to make the conversation work. You have to share things that people find relevant. What you find relevant is not necessarily going to be successful as a company. You have to find ways to associate with the way people live. That's why brands that tell stories are the ones that make the news, like people that do things not specifically mechanically related to the brand. Something that people can tell stories around, they tend to do well because it's something that you can share in a social situation.
So are promoted tweets effective, or are any of these paid advertisements for these content providers, are they effective?
So the answer is some of them are. The ones that tend to do well, that have proven to do well, are the ones that you should put the bulk of your budget behind. You shouldn't spend evenly across the things you want to promote. You should test them, and then when the audience tells you it's something that they find interesting, then you pour more money into it. That's the way to really succeed.
All right, well, thank you, Frank Spicer, co-founder at SocialFlow. From the NASDAQ, this is Katie Roof for TechCrunch.